In 2025, most young workers expect to change jobs within 2 years. The career path that once promised a stable 40-year run and a comfortable retirement is now almost unrecognizable. Technology, remote work, and the rise of the gig economy have rewritten the rules. Only 12% of private sector jobs now offer pensions, and job mobility has become the norm rather than the exception. Many workers now juggle multiple sources of income just to keep up. The old model of climbing a single corporate ladder is fading fast. What's replacing it? The answer starts with how and where we work today. The remote work revolution. Remote work has reshaped the professional landscape. In 2025, nearly 60% of employers operate as team remote, and a growing share of professionals now expect to spend at least part of their careers outside a traditional office. This shift is especially visible in startups, tech companies, and businesses in high-cost cities, where remote-first policies help reduce overhead and attract talent. The trend isn't slowing. Projections estimate that 22% of the U.S. workforce, or 36.2 million people, will be working remotely by the end of the year. Early doubts about remote work have faded. Companies once worried that employees working from home would slack off, but the data tells a different story. A 2-year study analyzing over 800,000 employee responses found that most reported stable or even increased productivity after the move to remote work. In fact, a Bristol engineering firm reduced weekly hours for its remote teams and saw a 40% reduction in product defects. The focus isn't on hours logged, but on output, what actually gets done. Many organizations are now tracking deliverables instead of time spent at a desk, and the results are hard to ignore. The remote model has also changed how teams interact. With fewer in-person meetings and less office chatter, many workers report more uninterrupted time to focus. HubSpot's internal surveys showed that remote employees average 4.5 hours of deep, focused work per day, compared to 3.7 hours for their in-office peers. This boost in focus is credited with driving higher quality work and faster project turnarounds, even as employees take more control over their daily schedules. Traditional career advancement paths have been disrupted. In the past, being seen in the office and building relationships with decision-makers often led to promotions. Now, with location-agnostic work, those opportunities are less common. The old system of face time equals career advancement has broken down. Instead, companies are experimenting with flatter structures and self-directed teams. According to a recent HR survey, there's been a 41% reduction in management hires since 2022 as organizations eliminate or shrink layers of middle management. The managers who remain focus on coordinating between autonomous teams rather than overseeing individual contributors. Results-only work environments, especially in tech, have become the new standard. Employees are judged solely on what they deliver, not when or where they work. One software developer at a remote-first company regularly finishes his weekly assignments by midweek, then spends the rest of his time on freelance projects. His employer doesn't mind, as long as the work is done on time and meets quality standards. The emphasis is on measurable results, not visible effort. Not everyone finds this environment easy. About 42% of remote workers say they feel disconnected from company culture. The same tools that help productivity, project management platforms, asynchronous communication apps, can make spontaneous collaboration harder. A marketing specialist described her team as efficient strangers. They consistently hit their targets, but haven't shared a non-work conversation in months. Some companies try to foster connection through virtual coffee chats or online team building, but participation is often low. Hybrid work remains common in industries that are slower to adapt, like law and financial services. As of August 2024, 28% of the U.S. workforce is working remote or hybrid, according to OECD data. In these fields, junior staff are frequently required to come into the office, while senior partners work remotely from wherever they choose. This double standard breeds resentment among younger employees. One associate at a Wall Street firm described watching partners dial into meetings from vacation homes, while analysts commute to nearly empty offices. The shift to asynchronous work has also changed how teams communicate. Instead of live meetings, teams spread across time zones rely on recorded video updates and collaborative documents with time-stamped comments. This approach gives employees more flexibility, but it also means less spontaneous problem-solving and fewer chances for informal mentorship. Underneath these changes, the foundations of corporate hierarchy are coming apart. Compensation and advancement increasingly depend on measurable output. One sales team at a major retailer now earns commissions based solely on closed deals, with no bonuses for team player behavior that used to matter in promotion decisions. Workers who thrive as independent self-starters are flourishing, while those who depended on office social structures or visible effort for recognition are struggling to find their footing. The remote work revolution has stripped away the invisible scaffolding that once shaped corporate careers. Promotions no longer follow predictable timelines. Networking takes deliberate effort, not just being in the right place at the right time. For many, the boundaries between roles and responsibilities are less clear than ever. As remote work becomes the norm, another force is quietly transforming the workforce, one that's even more disruptive than the disappearance of the office. AI job displacement accelerates. Artificial intelligence is no longer a distant threat to the workforce. It's a present reality, fundamentally altering the shape of white-collar employment. By 2025, nearly half of U.S. companies have adopted AI tools like ChatGPT, and almost half of those report that the technology has already replaced workers, according to a resume builder survey. The shift is most visible in entry-level and repetitive roles. Instead of hiring a team of junior analysts to sift through data and generate reports, companies now rely on AI systems that automate these tasks in seconds. McKinsey estimates that 20 to 30% of tasks in many jobs are automatable, and the World Economic Forum projects that AI will replace some 85 million jobs globally by 2025. The impact is especially pronounced in industries that once relied on large numbers of junior staff as a training ground. Law firms, for example, now use AI to draft contracts and briefs, leaving partners to handle negotiations and court appearances. The hours that used to go to junior associates for document review and research have evaporated. Accounting firms deploy AI to audit transactions, and consulting companies use algorithms to assemble presentations from client data. Across sectors, companies report a noticeable reduction in entry-level hiring as AI takes over foundational work. The rise of hybrid human-AI roles is changing what it means to be a professional. Instead of separate teams for writing, design, and analysis, many organizations now seek specialists who can direct AI tools and refine their output. LinkedIn data shows a surge in job postings for AI prompt engineers and similar roles, while a McKinsey survey found that 80% of senior leaders plan to advance their AI maturity within the next 3 years. These new positions often command higher salaries, sometimes 20% above traditional roles, but require constant upskilling. Today's digital marketer is expected to master not just social media platforms, but also AI image generators and language models. Legal and financial services are not the only sectors feeling the effects. In marketing, content teams that once employed a dozen people now rely on a handful of specialists to craft prompts and edit AI-generated drafts. In customer service, AI chatbots handle routine inquiries, with human representatives stepping in only for complex issues. The World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs report indicates that 86% of employers expect AI to transform their businesses by 2030. Even in creative fields, AI generates generic content at scale, while human specialists focus on distinctive work that machines can't replicate. This rapid change puts pressure on workers to adapt. According to Qualtrics, 25% of employees have upskilled for AI-related tasks, but 40% are resistant to learning new skills. Many workers invest personal time to learn emerging platforms, only to find those tools quickly replaced by newer ones. PwC forecasts that by 2030, 30% of tasks could be automated, creating a constant demand for reskilling. Some employees give up on traditional retraining and shift to gig work in less automated fields, seeking stability outside of rapidly changing office environments. Despite the promise of efficiency, the AI-driven workplace brings new challenges. Performance monitoring has intensified, with workers evaluated not just on their own output, but on how effectively they manage and correct AI-generated results. Customer support reps are now graded on how quickly they approve AI suggestions, while editors see every revision tracked and analyzed. Buffer's survey found that 27% of U.S. employees feel micromanaged, a number that has grown as digital oversight tools proliferate. A new class of professionals, sometimes called AI whisperers, has emerged to bridge the gap between human workers and AI systems. These specialists don't just use AI, they optimize its integration into business processes, knowing when to trust automated suggestions and when to intervene. Their expertise is in high demand, with many working as freelancers or consultants across multiple companies. Oysterlink data shows that in 2024, 4.7 million gig workers in the US earned over $100,000, many by leveraging advanced AI skills. As AI automates foundational tasks, traditional career ladders are breaking down. Without entry-level roles, companies struggle to train future managers. Law firms and banks face shortages of senior professionals who never learned basic research or underwriting because those functions were handed to machines. Some organizations experiment with rotational programs to fill the gap, but results are mixed. Compensation models are also shifting. While some AI specialists command premium pay, many workers see their roles devalued as automation increases the supply of available talent. Developers who master AI coding tools often earn more, while those in roles less directly tied to AI face stagnating or declining wages. The relationship between workers and employers is growing more transactional. Medium-term job stability is rare, and employees increasingly view themselves as temporary operators for systems that could soon make their roles obsolete. Many keep a financial cushion, not for emergencies, but to fund retraining when the next wave of automation arrives. Meanwhile, employers hesitate to invest in long-term development, knowing that needed skills may change within months. The definition of work itself is shifting. Tasks now cross traditional job boundaries as employees supervise AI, troubleshoot its mistakes, and take on responsibilities that didn't exist a few years ago. Adaptability has become the most valuable skill, as the old promise of a steady career path fades. For many, the challenge is no longer just keeping up with technology, but finding a place in a workforce where the rules keep changing. Against this backdrop of automation and uncertainty, a new generation of workers is responding in unexpected ways. Gen Z's workplace rebellion. Gen Z's approach to work is direct, pragmatic, and often at odds with the systems built by previous generations. Instead of climbing the corporate ladder, many young employees question whether the ladder is worth climbing at all. In survey after survey, more than half of workers under 25 say they reject the idea of waiting years for promotions or tying their identity to a single employer. Their priorities are different: clear boundaries, fair compensation, and transparency about expectations. The rise of quiet quitting is one way this plays out. For Gen Z, it's not just about doing the bare minimum. It's about sticking closely to what's in the job description and refusing to take on extra work without clear agreement. Some workers print out their employment contracts and reference specific clauses when managers ask them to handle additional tasks. This isn't passive resistance. It's a deliberate strategy to avoid exploitation and maintain balance in their lives. Social media has accelerated this shift. Career coaches on TikTok, with audiences in the millions, share advice on automating repetitive tasks, negotiating salaries, and handling unpaid overtime requests. Popular templates circulate, showing how to politely decline extra assignments by citing prior commitments or ambiguous scheduling conflicts. These tactics are not about laziness. They're about navigating a workplace that often expects more than it's willing to compensate. Contract work is another hallmark of Gen Z's rebellion. Many young workers now prefer short-term, well-defined projects over open-ended salaried roles. In recent surveys, a majority say they would accept lower pay in exchange for clear expectations and a set end date. A graphic designer might choose a 6-month contract, knowing exactly what's expected and when the work will end. This approach removes the ambiguity and unspoken obligations that come with traditional employment. No last-minute requests, no unpaid overtime, no pressure to attend after-hours events. Unpaid internships, once a rite of passage, have nearly disappeared. Since 2020, the number of unpaid internships has dropped dramatically as Gen Z refuses to work for experience alone. Law firms and political campaigns that previously relied on unpaid labor now offer hourly wages and stipends to attract applicants. The few unpaid roles that remain are often filled by those with financial support from home, which has actually narrowed access to these opportunities rather than broadened it. Negotiation tactics have also changed. Instead of asking for higher salaries, many Gen Z employees focus on flexibility, like a 4-day workweek or remote-first arrangements. When a young software developer at a mid-sized company requested a shorter workweek at full pay, she backed up her request with productivity data. The company agreed to a trial, and when her output stayed high, the policy became permanent for her and several colleagues. For this generation, time and autonomy often matter more than incremental pay. Increases. Transparency is non-negotiable. Young workers want to see exactly how promotions are decided and what compensation looks like at every level. Some companies now publish promotion criteria and pay scales internally, sometimes in response to employees circulating unofficial spreadsheets comparing salaries and bonuses. In other workplaces, Gen Z hires have pushed for public skills matrices, so everyone knows what it takes to move up. This demand for openness is shifting the balance of power away from subjective decisions and toward clear, measurable criteria. The concept of culture fit is increasingly viewed with suspicion. Gen Z job seekers often interpret it as code for conformity or bias. When interviewers emphasize fitting in with the team, some candidates walk away. Companies that drop culture fit from job postings and focus on skills and outcomes report more diverse applicant pools and stronger overall performance. The best teams now prioritize complementary strengths over personality similarities. Mandatory social events and team bonding exercises are losing their appeal. Gen Z workers tend to skip happy hours, retreats, and other activities that blur the line between work and personal time. Some have even challenged employers who penalize them for not attending, pointing to their contracts as evidence that participation isn't required. The most successful social initiatives now come from employees themselves, voluntary groups organized around shared interests, not top-down directives from management. Mental health is another area where expectations have shifted. For Gen Z, taking a day off for mental health is as normal as calling in sick for a physical illness. Many companies have added mental health days to their benefits packages, and some have moved to unlimited policies in response to burnout. Employees are more likely to use these days, and managers report that people return to work more focused and productive. Gen Z's resistance to traditional workplace norms isn't about a lack of ambition. It's a rational response to seeing older generations face layoffs, burnout, and broken promises. They save aggressively, not for retirement decades away, but as a buffer against job instability. Immediate, controllable compensation matters more than long-term benefits that may never materialize. A 23-year-old might decline a job with better health insurance in favor of higher hourly pay, reasoning that flexibility and cash on hand are more valuable than deferred rewards. Even the emotional labor of pretending to be on at work is losing ground. Young employees are less willing to fake enthusiasm or participate in performative engagement. When criticized for not appearing engaged in meetings, some cite research showing that facial expressions don't predict productivity. For Gen Z, authenticity is a baseline expectation, not a bonus. As Gen Z's values reshape the labor market, companies face a choice: adapt or lose talent to competitors who offer clear terms and genuine respect. The old model of career loyalty and incremental advancement is giving way to a new set of priorities, ones that demand flexibility, transparency, and agency. This shift is laying the groundwork for broader changes in how work is structured and compensated, opening the door to new models of employment that are rapidly gaining traction. The gig economy goes mainstream. For a growing share of workers, the gig economy is no longer a backup plan. It's the main way to earn a living. By 2025, nearly half of the U.S. workforce participates in gig or project-based work, a dramatic increase from just a few years ago. This isn't just about driving for rideshare apps or delivering food. Professionals in marketing, design, finance, and education now build careers by combining several income streams at once. A typical week for a digital marketer could include part-time agency work, freelance consulting, and producing online courses. The idea of a single, stable employer has been replaced by a patchwork of jobs, each contributing to a broader financial strategy. Platforms have adapted to this demand for flexibility, evolving from simple job boards into sophisticated ecosystems for managing multiple gigs. Instead of searching for long-term contracts, many workers now seek out micro-projects that last a few hours or days. A graphic designer might sell quick turnaround logo packages between meetings, while a CPA offers brief tax consultations during lunch breaks. Niche platforms cater to specialized skills, letting a teacher earn extra income by editing academic papers, or a musician sell custom jingles. These micro-engagements allow people to maximize their earning potential without committing to a single employer or schedule. The rise of gig work has also created new types of hybrid careers. One science teacher supplements her salary by tutoring online, making educational videos, and selling lab kits. A software engineer keeps a traditional job for the benefits, but earns more through short-term coding projects on the side. These anchor jobs provide a safety net, while the rest of their income comes from a rotating mix of gigs that can be scaled up or down as needed. Freelance platforms have grown more complex, offering bundled services that let workers package related skills together. A photographer might list not just photo sessions, but also editing, printing, and social media marketing. The platforms themselves now provide tools for contracts, payments, and client management, reducing overhead and making it easier to operate as a solo business. This shift has blurred the line between independent contractor and small business owner. One of the biggest challenges for gig workers is access to benefits. Without employer-sponsored healthcare or retirement plans, many turn to portable benefits accounts or join professional associations for group rates. In some states, legislation now requires platforms to contribute to benefit funds based on worker hours. Collectives and unions have stepped in to negotiate discounts on insurance and other essentials, helping to fill the gaps left by the traditional employment model. Taxes have become a source of confusion and stress for many in the gig economy. With income coming from multiple platforms, workers juggle dozens of tax forms and must track expenses across different jobs. New reporting requirements have helped some, but informal payments and cash gigs remain difficult to document. Accountants say clients often underestimate quarterly tax payments, leading to surprises at filing time. For some, managing the paperwork and staying compliant is nearly a job in itself. The unpredictable nature of gig work brings new risks. Income can swing wildly from month to month, depending on demand and seasonality. A freelance writer might earn well during busy months and then face a sharp drop-off. Many workers keep backup gigs they can activate during slow periods, but the lack of a steady paycheck requires careful budgeting and emergency savings. Some platforms and financial services now offer income smoothing tools and usage-based insurance, helping workers manage volatility, but these solutions remain imperfect. The structure of gig platforms continues to change, often in ways that benefit companies more than workers. Many platforms charge higher fees for premium listings or faster payments, and some require freelancers to pay for access to better clients. Algorithms track acceptance rates and penalize workers who turn down too many jobs, making it harder to control their schedules. The constant need to monitor apps and respond quickly to new opportunities blurs the line between work and personal time, leading to stress and burnout for some. In this environment, skills are increasingly commoditized. Platforms rank workers by ratings and algorithmic profiles, making personal branding more important than ever. Some workers spend as much time optimizing their profiles and gathering testimonials as they do performing actual tasks. High ratings are critical. One bad review can mean fewer opportunities. Others chase certifications that boost their visibility on platforms, even when those credentials have little impact on real-world performance. Payment systems are often opaque and unpredictable. Some platforms hold back a portion of earnings as security, while others use surge pricing models that make it difficult to plan ahead. Bonus structures shift with demand, and workers sometimes struggle to calculate their true take-home pay. This uncertainty pushes many to diversify across multiple platforms and job types to minimize risk. Those who succeed in the gig economy treat their work like a business. They analyze market trends, specialize in underserved areas, and reinvest in tools or training that improve efficiency. A translator who focuses on medical documents, or a fitness coach who bundles training with nutrition advice, can out-earn generalists by creating comprehensive solutions for clients. Repeat business and direct relationships become crucial, with some workers moving clients off platforms to avoid fees and build more stable income streams. The gig economy's expansion has fundamentally changed how people think about job security and career progression. Instead of waiting for promotions or relying on a single employer, workers build resilience through multiple income sources and a flexible approach to employment. As the boundaries between roles, industries, and job titles blur, the traditional idea of corporate loyalty is being replaced by a new kind of career pragmatism: corporate loyalty extinction.